Wind whipped Claire's hair, salty air stinging her eyes. Before her, perched on the precipice, stood Whitaker's lighthouse, a monolith against the stormy sky. Locals warned of the lighthouse, their whispers carrying tales of the vanished keeper and the voices that haunted the night. Claire, ever the skeptic, dismissed their fears as superstitious nonsense. She was a journalist, a seeker of truth, and this lighthouse held a story. The iron gate groaned as she pushed it open, rusted with age and neglect. Seagulls cried overhead, their calls echoing the unease gnawing at her. Ignoring the chill crawling down her spine, Claire stepped onto the path, the lighthouse looming larger with every step. The wind seemed to whisper, carrying words she couldn't quite grasp. She reached the heavy wooden door, its paint peeling like scabs. Taking a deep breath, Claire knocked, the sound swallowed by the wind. No answer came, only the incessant crashing of waves against the rocks below. With a final glance back at the path, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. Dust motes danced in the single ray of sunlight piercing the gloom. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of salt and decay. Cobwebs draped the room like macabre decorations, and the only sound was the relentless wind howling outside. Claire shivered, suddenly aware of the silence pressing in around her. She ran a hand along the cold, damp stone wall, following the spiral staircase upwards. Each step creaked in protest as if warning her back. But Claire pressed on, her pulse quickening with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The second floor housed the keeper's living quarters. A cot lay stripped bare in the corner, a rickety table overturned beside it. Drawers hung open, their contents scattered across the floor. Clothes, books, and a tarnished silver locket. Claire picked it up, its surface cold beneath her fingers. As she turned it over, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shadow seemed to dart across the wall at the edge of her vision, gone as quickly as it appeared. Claire spun around, heart pounding, but found nothing. Just the wind rattling the window panes, mocking her with its eerie song. The third floor held the lamp room, its massive lens dark and lifeless. But it was the worn, leather-bound book lying open on a small writing desk that drew Claire's attention. The keeper's log. Its pages were filled with hurried scrawl, the ink faded but the desperation in the words still palpable. The entries spoke of long, lonely nights, of the relentless crashing of waves and the cries of gulls that sounded almost human. But there were other entries, more disturbing, filled with ramblings about voices whispering from the fog, faces appearing in the swirling mist. The keeper wrote of being watched, of a presence that chilled him to the bone. Claire read on, each word sending a fresh wave of unease through her. The keeper's writing grew more erratic, his fear bleeding onto the page. The last entry, barely legible, sent a shiver down her spine. They are calling to me. I see them in the fog. I cannot escape. The book slipped from Claire's grasp, falling to the floor with a thud that echoed in the silence. She backed away, her eyes darting around the room, searching for the source of the growing unease that coiled in her gut. The wind howled outside, its mournful cries seeming to morph into whispers, calling her name. Claire spun around, searching for the source of the sound, but there was nothing there, just the wind and the creaking of the old lighthouse. She told herself it was just the wind, playing tricks on her nerves. But deep down, a primal fear began to stir. The keeper's words echoed in her mind, his terror seeping into her own. Were the stories true? Was this place truly haunted? As darkness fell, the shadows in the lighthouse seemed to lengthen and twist, taking on sinister shapes. Claire huddled in the keeper's quarters, a single lantern casting flickering shadows on the walls. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the windows, sent her heart racing. She tried to read, to distract herself from the growing sense of dread, but the words swam before her eyes. The keeper's journal lay open on the table, its pages filled with his growing madness. It was as if his fear was contagious, infecting her with each passing moment.